Hi everyone, this is Nikki, also known as Faces Trader, and you're watching the Philippine Market Update. So let's begin. Actually, it's February 4, 2021. Let's go open our WealthSec Premier. So this is the website, premier.wealthsec.net. Clicking it, you give your username and password, and therefore you look at the stats. So it's Philippine Stock Index 6,903, up 44 points. As you could see, let's take a look first on the top traded. Your top traded today is down 7%. Your ASEN is 1 billion pesos. Your DITO is 700 million, now trading at 14. BSC 112, Converge 1736, APL down 1%, SFI up 20%, FA up 7%, BPI up 0.24%. So you're seeing also that LAHC is up 21%. You've got VOL up 18%. So MG up 17%. Basically, the walking zombies of the Philippines are going up. So the zombies are alive. So there's a reason why they're called zombies. They wake up and then suddenly they're still dead. And then, okay, so let's take a look at the top gainers. All right, so most of your top gainers are barely traded and they're up to date 20%. You could see that the market is still voyeuring on some very speculative names. Take a look at the losers. All right, the biggest loser is ASEN, 1 billion being sold to the downside. So it's very clear that it is really a trading range. So we identified that ASEN, DITO, Merrimart, although it can be higher, it is an extended play. So chasing them is actually not advised. Now let's take a look at some big numbers here. Yeah, actually that is the only loser. The rest that are being sold down barely have any value traded. 2 million pesos on the downside is not really important. 120,000 pesos on the downside, a million pesos on the downside. These are actually negligible. All right, so the most active names happening today. Let's take a look at the top traded then. Let's take a look at the index. Market value is 8 billion pesos, telling you that about 2 billion pesos has left the market valuation. Used to have an average about 9 to 10 billion. It's now trading at 8 billion pesos. So there's lack of people willing to buy and continuous foreign selling. So from a bearish standpoint, that's actually a bad omen that nobody's really taking a look at the Philippine market because the market value is very small and nobody really is interested, as you could see with the market values. Now, from a index price, let's just read everything, just the index. So you've got SM 1033 still just hovering there, but you've got a lot of upside capped at about 1100. AEV 43.5, Ayalan 39, BDO 106, GG Summit 65, Lucia Time Group 14, Metrobank 47, Meralco 288, ICT 124, SM Prime 37, BPI 83, Mega World 4, SMC 129, Pure Gold 38.6, Globe 2000, FGen 30, Robinson's Land 20, Jollibee 180, Emperador 10, AGI 10, DMC 537, Aboitiz Power 2565, MPI 4.2, Bloomberry 8, Robinson's Retail still down here at about 57.4. Might want to pick that up while it's going down. GT Cap 520, URC 144, Security Bank 129, Telephone is 1370, Ayala Corp is 776. So the most obvious sell-off here that's happening in the last couple of days is still Robinson's Retail. And I'd say that Robinson's Retail is the one deserving to be bought amongst the 30 index names today. So the rest are really in the either they're neutral, it's limited upside, it's limited downside. So you don't have much to really range trade upon. That's likely the reason why still a lot of Filipinos would still voyeur on the speculative side for some trading range action or just extensions after extensions. No comments actually from the Filipinos, so I guess there's not a lot to really discuss. Let's read a lot on the news though. Okay, so let's just see. No reasons, possibly because I'm a bit early today. Usually I do my podcast or live streams late, but I have to start this time at 1 because I just really have to start very early today. So I think however, 1 p.m. is a better timeline so that we can accomplish more things throughout our days there. Nonetheless, let me just read some news, material informations and transactions, the top viewed, and the Cebu Pacific stock rights offering. Let's take a look at these things and the material information. So I think these were the most viewed disclosures today and for the week. So let's read that for you. Okay, still clicking on it. Okay, so let me just read through that. I will read first the Cebu Pacific stock rights offering. And let's take a look at Cebu Pacific given the price of Cebu Pacific today. Cebu Pacific's now trading 47 bucks, and the stock rights offering here is where is that? All right, let's read this for us. Okay. Says here that the board of directors have already stated a convertible preferred shares. What is the subscription of this? It's going to be a stock offering, and the transaction price, the number of shares to be offered will be still legally counseled. The listing will be in the Philippine Stock Exchange, and the underlying common shares will be listed here, the convertible preferred shares. Now, the offering will be via stock rights offering. So that means that you need Cebu Pacific to be allowed to buy the convertible preferred shares. Listing would represent about 87%, then underlying common shares, representing 87% of the outstanding capital stock. It's a $250 million convertible preferred. That would be about 12 billion pesos. And they would have a timeline of about March 29. That would be about next month. So to be honest, there's no entitlement ratios yet. There's no offer pricing yet. And the shares are to be offered to be announced. X rights date, however, is Feb 22 with a record rate of Feb 26. So these would be used to provide liquidity to the liabilities, including a $100 million allocation, which was an advancement of JG Summit during the pandemic, a $70 million allocation for aircraft operating lease payments of Cebu Pacific needing to be due by 2021. So think about this. The parent is JG Summit. The son is actually Cebu Pacific. Cebu Pacific, as the daughter or the son of JG Summit, asked for some money, and JG Summit, the parent, actually loaned a $100 million advance repayment and gave him about $70 million for aircraft operating lease payments. In exchange, of course, Cebu Pacific has to give a portion of his shares because of the money that he is taking, which is about $250 million for these principal debt repayments. This was a consequence, perhaps, because Cebu Pacific had been impacted heavily with the travel-related restrictions due to COVID-19's health concerns. So these are actually, for me, normal, and I would say that that is actually making Cebu Pacific actually a supported company at these levels. So you're noticing that this is Cebu Pacific Air today. This is 40 bucks. This is also 35 pesos. Those who have Cebu Pacific should see a higher low supports right now at 45. And those who are voyeuring to buy Cebu Pacific today at 47 should fret not. Even if you're wrong, let's say the stock offering is 40 bucks. What it means is that those shareholders of SEB can buy, say, 40. I would assume that the VWAP is going to be used as the real convertible offering price here. That means that it would be somewhere within, let's take a look at the single year. So of course, you're going to base it on the lowest price of about 33.31 and the highest price of about 58. So you've got 45 really as the median, and because this is a convertible preferred, you might actually see a little bit of a discount. So let's assume that the discount is about 10 to 20%. That means that the offering, my guesstimate is that Cebu Pacific would probably be offering some shares for all the Cebu Air Pacific shareholders already. If I'm gonna guess, it's probably be like 1:2 or 1:5 shares. I don't know. It's usually like that. Meaning if you have one Cebu Pacific share, you could buy at 45. Let's say you buy today 47. Let's assume that we have a ratio. So let's say I have 10,000 Cebu Pacific shares. They're gonna give me an option to buy 5,000 shares of Cebu Air at about 35 pesos. Let's say they want to give me a discount, like a 20 to 30% discount to attract me. So I think that people would actually support Cebu Air. Why? Because it's really a company that people would still seek to patronize in the Philippines, even as the COVID pandemic is unsure on when it will really end. Now, good evening, Ma'am Nikki. What can you say about Axelum, Tugs, and RCI? So both of them are, the trio of them aren't quite being actively traded. So I think between the three of them, you've got Tugs saying that they have some solar. I don't know what exactly have they done after that announcement in the past. But I say that, yeah, so It has moved from 71 cents to as high as about 1.97. Seems to be a pullback here, higher low. So I can only opine that it's still in a higher low, your Harbor Star shipping. However, very strong resistance as it's very clear here at about 2 peso 50 cents above. And let's take a look at your Axilum question. I don't know much, so I'll just comment on the chart. Your Axilum here actually bottomed out at about 175, and a higher low can be clearly seen here at about 2.5. Your resistance still remains here at about 3.7. So you might actually be seeing resistances at 370 to $4. Could be a trading range, could also become greedy if you actually understand where Axilum Resources catalyst would be. But I have no idea if there will be potential catalyst for them. Let's take a look at RCI. I just know that they are a coconut related company. So RCI, all right, let's take a look at your question. RCI, no idea as well. You could see that there's very little volume, very lack volume. So for RCI, you could see in the last 5 years has been gaining ground, even as it is still way below, like 90% down. Is it from 5 pesos all the way to 1 peso? That's 80% down from its peak here at 2018. So it is consolidating here at 107. I don't know the news on Rojas and Company, so I don't know why the volume has been rising. Is there a stake sale? I think I remember that there was something like a sale here. The news, let's take a look at the news though. So it went into a sugar, right? So they've been selling, they're risking their businesses. It says here that they had been selling over 27,000 square meters of its property in Batangas. And they also signed an equity placement deal to sell up to 800 million pesos because they've got 2.6 billion pesos of debt. So basically, what you're seeing with RCI is that it is a distressed asset, but it has like properties. And in order to pay its creditors with 2.6 billion pesos of debt, what it's doing is to sell or liquidate their businesses that can be sold. So whether that be a property, a sugar mill plant. Take note that Rojas is paying off half of the debt to de-risk its business, halving its debt from 4.4 to about from 9.8 billion pesos last year to 4.4 billion. They sold some of their sugar mills to actually Universal Robina Corp. They're still continuing to sell, expanding their efforts to de-risk. So it's a de-risking story. I guess the entire news on Rojas Holdings is all about de-risking, and that's proper for all the Rojas shareholders. That's a good thing. However, what you do know is that it continues to still have to sell all of their assets. And this one is another asset placement at 1 billion pesos. RCI is signing an 800 million peso equity placement commitment with LDA. This is a European global investment group as its fundraising activity to support the reduction of bank debts. So our RCI actually is trying to borrow with other people at an exercise price of even 238 per share, exercisable anytime during the terms of the agreement. So what you know here is that RCI has practically sold their company to somebody at 2.4 per share. So if this somebody believes that it's worth above that, then some people actually think that RCI here at about 1 peso is probably a cheaper option rather than the Rojas equity placement of 2.38 per share. So who is LDA Capital? It's a global alternative investment group with cross-border transactions worldwide. They've got 42 countries with valuations and transactions over $1 billion. You can visit LDA Cap. Now, Rojas and Company is a company with a lot of debt, and so they're asking for a reduction of debt. So I guess they needed capital for that. Okay, they're restructuring further, said here in September 2020. They still got a loan of about 2.6 billion pesos from 3 creditor banks, and they've got 3 years grace period to repay those debts. These are BPI, Robinsons Bank, and AUB. So these banks will get their resort in Tagaytay, some Go hotels in Metro Manila if they can't pay up. Also, they have a coconut processing facility in South Cotabato, and a lot of beachfronts in Nasugu, Batangas, which was actually sold to Santa Lucia land. Furthermore, they said that they sold a 12-hectare Tagaytay na Cebu to commercial properties like SM Group for 98 million pesos. As of end June, they still have 4.8 billion pesos. Guys, this is an example of a company that has practically sold every asset it has. And I don't want to marry a company just because they're paying off their debt. It's as if you're telling me that assuming I am a company, I have like 5-10 billion debt and I'm now paying like 7 billion pesos debt, but I'm able to sell my debts not because I have a recurring cash flow, but because simply I have assets, like I have a property in Batangas, I have a property in a resort in Tagaytay. So I don't think, guys, that is a good company. I mean, personally, I don't want, okay, you heard about it, it's debt restructuring, but yeah, I don't like a debt restructuring play. That's me. Any insights for our potential Elan Starlink in Philippines? Could there be a potential company partner in the Philippines? Well, so hopefully, I think that Converge is what the market believes into. As you could see, Converge looks to go all-time highs today, trading at about 17.36. This is a clear breakout at 16.8. So naturally, the market might actually assume that the biggest partner in the Philippines would probably be Converge because they're probably small, they're probably fresh from their IPO proceeds, and they're really willing to really help the Filipinos in terms of broadband connection speed. Is ASEAN a good, well, that's just my theory, guys. I'm not saying that I'm right, just my theory. Is ASEAN a good buy now? I said no, it's a range, 6 to 8. How to start international stocks? You can go to our website, awesome10x.com, start registering, and you'll see a lot of newbie coverages. First-timers in Awesome10X get to understand how to invest globally, or if you don't want to enter our inner circle, you can just simply watch the videos. So a lot of Awesome10X website, YouTube channel has a lot for people asking, how do I invest globally? So you just type in, how do Filipinos trade or invest globally? So you just search it, use Google search button, and how Filipinos can start trading globally, FAQs. So it's all there. I hope that you can just watch a video for that. All right, thank you very much. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This is Nikki Yu signing out for the Philippine market. Bye-bye.